Live. All right. Nightwing here, and welcome to part 2 of this video. We are 420 conspiracies, and in the last section we talked about how Jonah Hill isn't all he appears to be, and in this chapter we're going to talk about why Jonah Hill isn't real, and we'll talk about a couple of theories, but the main one is my personal favorite, the Canadian mind manipulation theory, which is in fact an effort by the secret snake society of Canada to trick Americans into thinking that they can lose weight, and all of this is mind you, all of this is financed by the Canadian maple syrup cartels, and it's a plot for domination.
That's exactly right, Nightwing. Straight up, not everyone knows this. If you're an amateur in terms of conspiracy theories, we've been doing this for almost a decade now. And the first thing to figure out a conspiracy theory is who does it most benefit. In this situation, clearly these maple syrup cartels, who have been lobbying the American Congress for years for more multimedia rights, this benefits them 100%. They want Americans to think they can lose weight.
Oh, and the fact that Canadian maple syrup cartels lobby the FDA and Congress to make it so there's no regulation on the amount of sugar and codeine that gets put in maple syrup. Why do you think rappers talk about it? Because they're getting it from that lean, you know what that really is? That's true, that's pure, uncut Canadian maple syrup, and the Canadian maple syrup cartels literally are just infusing it, and Jonah Hill is just one of their many fronts.
What's disgusting about this is that it's on record, folks. The end of Superbad literally thanks a major maple syrup corporation. Literally right there in front of your eyes. I mean, I get it. You got other things to do. The better than stick around and see who, helped make a Jonah Hill cinema. But in this case, it's really important. This is why paying attention to the details is what matters.
And we were both caught up in a little bathroom conversation about which type of hentai is better. I prefer Dragon Ball Z, and he was a SpongeBob person, but I digress. Yeah, we debated for hours. But anyway, we pay attention to these details. Let me ask you another question, listeners. When I say Seth Rogen, what comes to mind? Fat, not really funny, but popular Canadian actor. And let me tell you something. When did Seth Rogen hop on the scene? The same goddamn time that Jonah Hill did. Because, in fact, Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen are the same illusion. You know what I'm saying? That's financed by the Canadian mind manipulation theory. And we know it's true that they are there to trick you, to brainwash your eye brains, and that'll tell your brains what's going on, and it just gets transbogulated in the rest of your fucking body.
Now, while we recognize it's more of a jump to say that Seth Rogen is part of this, there's not as much on-record evidence. Jonah Hill is clearly the smoking gun.
Yeah, but we infer. Here we can connect the dots and not the everyday person can see. And just the openness that Jonah Hill just talks about how he's not a real person. Like, let pull that quote up, please. Let me.
Our secretaries.
All right. But anyway, on record.
Interns didn't show up today.
Our interns didn't show up, but on record, Jonah Hill has discussed his lack of humanness. And we are able to extrapolate that his Canadian brother, Seth Rogen, is in fact not a human either, and they're all just a gosh darn illusion by the Canadian maple syrup cartels, because they just want to capture and trick your brains.
Worst part about all this is that it really comes down to the fact that money is the motivation, that people will do the most disgusting things, like create a person like Jonah Hill to act, and some of the movies aren't terrible. I enjoyed How to Train Your Dragon 2. It was... I digress. That's not important. That's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is what you can do about it and what they're trying to do so you're ready to defend yourself against it. What's next?
And I think that's a good way to segue out of this section. And I'm gonna tell you something though before this video's done. A little. This is what happens next time on Dragon Ball Z, but in this case it's 420 conspiracy theories. And how do we stand up to this brazen manipulation by the Canadian maple syrup cartels? And I'm gonna tell you something. It's rooted in the Second Amendment.
And we know how much we love that amendment on this show. All right.
Love it.
That just about concludes part 2. In part 3, we're going to talk about the potential of a Jonah Hill false flag. We're going to use other countries and their own Operation Minds and all the things that they did to mess with the minds of the American people before with their celebrities and maybe some other fake stats. Steve Irwin. But that's all we got. Thanks for listening. See you in part 3.